What is one moment you felt different because of your race?
How do I want to say this?
It was just like a few years ago that I think like we heard about Trayvon Martin, and this year with the Baltimore riots, we had some time to openly discuss it in my classes, and in my AP Lit class in particular, I was the only black person in that class, and so sometimes it felt like I was the only source of like real anger or being upset, and I felt like other people just weren't like getting it.
I just wanted to sit alone on the bus one day without my friend, and she turned to me and she said, "This is why I'm not friends with black people." And I was just so shocked because no one had ever pointed out to me that I was like different because I was black, and that was like a defining moment where I realized maybe I'm not like everyone else because of my skin tone.
There's like the racist teacher trope where like your teacher would be like maybe take a certain tone with you or treat you a certain way. You'd automatically think, oh my god, that teacher has to be racist. I've come across teachers like that, but sometimes in the back of my head I'm like, are they really racist, or do they just not like me as a person? And I think that's like a battle a lot of black students have, not knowing if someone is treating them a certain way because of their race or because of their personality. And it's hard to make a distinction because, you know, your race, your ethnicity, your religion is like a huge part of who you are.
And we were lining up for a kickball game, and people were choosing teams, and I could hear the team captains sitting over there and deciding like, oh, do we want that person? Do we want this person? And then one of them looked straight at me, and he pointed at me, and he said, I remember it very clearly, he mouthed out to me, "You're not good enough. You're black. He can't be good. All he's good for is running. He can't do anything else." And from that, it made me question, what does it really mean to be black, and what can I really do to make my race appear better to those around me?
Yeah, when I lived in Florida, there was this kid, and he was bothering me and my friend, and he was like kicking her bag and just being rude to her, so I was like, hey, stop it. And he looks at me, he's like, oh yeah, well at least I'm not black.
Whenever in AP Gov an issue would come up that concerned black people or slaves, I felt like people would look at me and see what my reaction to it would be. When we read Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston, which is like the one book by a black author, people would ask me like, did I especially connect to this book? Was this like my experience? And it was just really like alienating. And I think I really didn't know how to speak up for myself at all. I was just like scared that when I did say anything, it'd be aggressive, and if I didn't say anything, I was allowing them to kind of walk all over me and my identity.
In the higher level courses, like getting into IB, I noticed that there's like very little diversity in class. Like I think I have noticed maybe the first or second week of school where I would look around and there was only one black dude and like two other black girls.
Then when I moved to Florida, it was all white, and there was a lot of people that didn't like me because I was black. Even though I'm mixed, people just saw me as black, so they didn't like me. So I didn't have many friends in Florida. And then when I moved back to Maryland and like specifically here, I feel like this place is super diverse. Like I know a lot of people that live here for a long time don't think that, but this place is like crazy diverse to me.
It's not like we have like the same overt racism that we have like facing in like many other areas around the country, but one big thing I do notice is that oftentimes black people feel like they have to fit this mold almost of like what black defines them as, and oftentimes it's not one of a positive light.
And here it kind of seems like, especially when talking about race topics in classes like TOK, you kind of have to shout over everyone else because they want to put in like their input, even though they can't really relate to certain issues, even if they really wanted to, which is kind of sad because you would think that in higher level courses everyone would prefer to listen to someone's actual experiences rather than like made up experiences.
my entire upbringing, my mom has always told me, every single time I've left the house, if a police officer ever stops you, you need to stop and you need to listen to whatever they're doing because they will kill you.
Like whenever I wake up in the morning and I look in the mirror, I start thinking like, oh, what if I was lighter? What if I was white? How would people view me?
I want nothing to do with them. And I feel like that's not exactly like an experience that most other races have, because in a sense, I guess they feel like they're there to like genuinely like help you out in a time of need. And I feel like police officers are almost like the last person I would call, like only if I was like dying or I needed like sufficient help. It's never like a situation in which I feel like they're like genuinely there for my best interest. It almost feels like they're like an inhibiting force on my existence.
When I got in, I realized, I thought that I had to be different. I had to dress prim and proper. I had to like take on a whole new persona and someone that wasn't me, because I'm outspoken, I'm loud, and I was scared to be a black stereotype.
Oftentimes, whenever you meet someone that like doesn't talk how you expect a black person to talk, we often categorize them as like talking white, or if they don't dress exactly how like you expect a black person to dress, you categorize them as dressing white. And I never fully understood what this mold meant, because it almost feels like you're limiting the terms of which my black can be.
So I think it's kind of like your parents teach you that, or it's just something that gets passed down. I don't think people actually know why they're racist. So I think it's important for that to come out, that actually hurts people.
I think that regardless of what opinions you hold, every person is a person, whether they're a loud, aggressive person, whether they're ignorant and don't hold the same views, whether they're, whatever. We're all people, and part of the human experience is just learning to live in peace together.
But I guess like if I have like a message for anybody that's like, I guess that struggles with their black image of beauty and stuff like that, I just like, I don't want to sound corny or any of that, but just like take pride in your chocolate, you know? Just be proud of like that dark skin. Every single square inch of that is, I sound corny now, but yeah, just basically like just take pride in your own skin. It's a beautiful thing to have. Don't be ashamed in it.
There is no separation between people. It exists in the mind. We're all one kind. We're the human kind. We're the human race. That's the only race that exists. And I've gone as far as any other person, and not because of my color, and my color has nothing to do with it. I'm successful because I'm smart, because I am who I am. So if they look past it, they can just be as successful as I am.
If you could say anything to them, I'd say thank you. I'd say thank you for allowing me to realize that it doesn't matter what other people think about you. It's about what you think about you, and about what you do to make yourself the best person that you can be. And it doesn't matter like how much success you have, how good your grades are, or whether you have the best clothes, the best shoes, whether you get like anything you do, or whether you're the best like sports player or anything. As long as you're being the best person that you can be, the world will see you in that way, and the world will notice.